very hard, so one day he can be a big sheikh.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Little Sheikh. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah. All praise be to Allah, and peace and blessings be upon Prophet Muhammad. Today, I would like to talk to you, my Muslim brothers and sisters, and also to you of other faiths.
Number one, pray and ask God to accept it and make it better. Number two, share the message with others. Let them know what we've got going on. And number three, if you're able, do something, but do it regular. And that's it for our program tonight. I ask all of you to keep up your prayers, keep up your connection with the law, and stay guided with Guideus TV. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah.
Guideus TV.
Many of us are concerned today about the challenges facing Muslims all around the world. And there's a way that we can help and work together. Support Guideus TV right now. With your help, your support, and your prayer, accept that challenge. Send the word Islam to phone number 41444. That's a special phone number. Just those numbers. 41444. Send the word Islam right now. It will send you a link. Do something regular every month. Do something. Whatever you can do. Don't stop. Because that's what will keep this going even after I'm gone. And this is what I would love to see. I'd love to be in the grave.
And coming to you almost live from Southern California, it is Let's Talk About It with the one person that you have been waiting to talk to, Dr. Emily. Say hi, Dr. Emily.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody.
And I should also mention that we have here Sheikh Yusuf Estes. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Leftovers. That's what you just gave me. Leftovers, man. What is that? Oh my God. Whew.
I guess I'm the star of the show now.
Oh, don't forget I got the controls here. I can put whoever I want to up there on the screen. Whoa. Yeah, all right. The picture we have for Sister Emily is very teeny tiny, and I'm going to have to work on that, but give me some time, and by the time we do our break in a half hour, we'll have a full picture of her and get her up there. Yeah, but
It's okay though, right?
yeah, we sort of see, looks like a rolled up blanket or something in a little teeny tiny square, but that's okay. And inshallah, we're going to work on that. Hey, wait, I think I do know a way to get that up. Sister Kim, talk about what we're going to talk about tonight. That's a good idea, right?
That would be a good idea if I knew what we were going to talk about tonight. Are we going to be taking phone calls tonight?
Well, now that's a very good question. I think we are. Let me check and see. I'm pretty sure that there is something up on the screen. If not, I will tell everybody that this is the number that you can call. 1-800-971-4383. 1-800-971-4383. And yeah, you don't even have to order anything. You can just call and talk to us. Yes, that is so cool. Alhamdulillah. All right, Sister Kim, let's talk about our topic tonight. We wanted to talk about what it's like to be a convert in this world today. At the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I'll set this up for you, inshallah, and then I'll let you girls talk it out. But at the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the converts at their time had a serious oppression against them, just like at the time of Jesus alayhi salam, when so many people converted over to the way of the Jews had gone way astray. It had been skewed so much that they had to really look at what he was saying, and he said in the Bible, and anyway, the translation of the Bible we have today, it says that he only came for the lost sheep of Israel. All right? And then whenever he's telling them how to pray, he mentions our God. Pray to our God. That's in Mark 12:29. And also when he's doing the Lord's Prayer, he's saying to pray to the Father and not to him or anybody else, but that's how he prayed. And when the time of the crucifixion comes, if you want to believe in that, it still he's not praying to himself, so that's crystal clear. Anyway, but that's not the subject. The subject was how the converts are being treated. Today, it's really not the same. I won't say it's not as bad or worse or better, but I'm saying it's not the same. Because at their time, now, and then I'm going to ask you girls to talk about what you're experiencing, because, that's what our program is about. But tonight, I'd like to first set the stage by thinking what it would have been like at their time. Keep in mind that these people were tribal, very tribal, and each tribe was its own little society, and they had their own little things going on. So anybody from that tribe was defended by everybody else in the tribe, because, hey, if you're from our tribe, you can do no wrong. Even if you do wrong, it's not wrong because you did it and you're in our tribe and we're not wrong. All right? So when somebody leaves the tribe, they're like, sure, we're finished with you. And they considered it that whenever you change your religion, because our tribe worships that God over there and this God over here. We don't worship that particular God over there, but we have a little bit of worship to this God, because they had multiple gods. They had Allah, Uzza, and Manat. What's their names of them? Anyway, they would, when somebody would come into Islam, the whole family would feel like, you betrayed us. Okay, hey, this guy. And some of them were tied up. One of them, a young man, was tied up and his mom wouldn't let him go. And others were kicked out. Some, even their own relatives, wanted to kill them. And in fact, when Hamza, radiallahu anhu, he was fighting against the kuffar, the non-believers, and whenever they killed him, they wanted to cut him open and take out his body parts. Yeah, that's really gross, right? Anyway, so you could see, and then there was about a 2-year period where they had sanctions against them, living out in the desert. Nobody could go and help them. And some of them starved to death. Some of them died from other things, but nobody wanted to help them. So there was just a very few. And again, tribalism, it's somebody from our tribe. I'm going to go to, give a little food over here to so-and-so. And then that person would distribute it out, because, Muslims are not greedy. We're not going to just say, hey, hooray for me. No, it's hooray for our whole team, because we take one apple and we got 2 people, we cut it, split it. Got 3 people, cut it 3 ways. Got 4 people, cut it 4 ways. Got 50 people, make applesauce. Anyway. So, yeah, we can see that they had a hard time. And then whenever it was time for them to sign an agreement to go into, I don't know, that's not on my side, whatever that sound was. Anyway.
That was me. I was getting my computer closer to me.
Okay. There is a mute button up there. If you got to do something like that, just hit the mute button. Whenever the dogs start barking, then that's what Sister Kim will do. Just hit the mute, and so that we don't get in a discussion about why she has to have dogs. Yeah, because now today, all right, what is the deal with somebody coming to Islam? Is it all rosy? They have a big celebration in your whole family and just turn out and say, oh, wow, you're going to go to Jannah now. So, okay, it's like birthday time or something. Sister Kim, start it out for us.
Sure thing. When I came to Islam, it was not all rosy. I was the only Muslim in my town in South Dakota, and my family back in Massachusetts was not very happy with me. My mother was afraid that I had joined a cult, and my father is an Islamophobe. And so my mother didn't cut off communications with me, but she was very hesitant to talk to me about the religion because she was afraid that I went head over heels and jumped into something and I was going to completely change as a person. And to be honest, it really concerned her because just about 3 months after I converted, and Sheikh Yusuf, you gave me my Shahada, I traveled down to Texas with you. And so she had no idea who you were. And so she thought that you were the cult leader. And I was trying to explain to her, no, it's not like that at all. And over time, she definitely started relaxing about it. And she realized that although there were some changes with me, I was still the same person in many ways that I was before I converted. I still had many of the same hobbies. I was still talking to many of the same people. And if anything, the changes that had taken place were for the better for me, because it put me in a much better mental situation. It took my father a lot longer to accept it, and he accepts it as long as we don't talk about it. As long as the topic doesn't come up in conversation, he's perfectly fine. And so we have this unspoken agreement that we don't talk about it. And, around town, people were very shocked to see a Muslim around town because there were no others. And so I got a lot of stares, but I didn't have anybody really jump down my throat or anything like that. But I'm also the type of person that doesn't go out very much. So, I would go to a big box store for my groceries, and then I'd come home and I wouldn't go out for a week. So I wasn't out there consistently exposing myself to the public. That's just the way I am. And of course, I became even more of a recluse, you might say, when COVID hit. So, the other thing that made it a little bit difficult was I did not have access to a mosque or a masjid. And so I didn't have other Muslims in my area to lean upon, which made it a little bit more iffy. If I had questions, I had to rely on information that I found online. And if you're not careful, there's a lot of really bad information out there. And so I learned how to, look very carefully at the information that I was finding and making sure that it came from reliable sources and things like that, which has done nothing but serve me well. Even today, if I've got a quick question, I hop on search for Islam and I type it in, and I know that I'm getting it from a good source. with the virus, I still have yet to go to our Islamic center here in town because it's operating only for about 15 minutes a week, and they're letting limited people in, so I have not yet gone. But inshallah, that will change sometime in the near future as the vaccines keep rolling out.
Sounds good. It sounds really good. I'm looking forward to that myself. All right, now let's talk about what happened with Sister Emily when you came to Islam. Tell everybody they're not familiar with you, so you might give them a little bit of history about yourself and what's going on there, Sister.
Well, where do I start? I was cradle Lutheran, so that's basically I was born into the Lutheran Church, a Protestant sect of Christianity, and I had. It's a long story, but anyway, I don't know how much of this you want me to go into.
Well, just make yourself comfortable. Just have a good time.
Well, so I started out in. I'll just go back to high school. I was a. I'm. You know, I'm not going to toot my own horn, but I was a clarinet professional. Like I could play by ear and everything. Like, had no problem with that. Got a full ride scholarship to the University of Iowa. And then I discovered medicine. And so I lost my scholarship and went.
Whoa, wait a minute. Was that because you became a Muslim or something
No.
else?
This was years ago. I'm getting to that. Okay.
All right. All right.
So because I didn't want to, I was a music major. I couldn't do medicine at the same time.
Oh, okay.
So I lost my scholarship. I went back home and, got into the whole medicine thing. And as soon as I started medical school, I knew I wanted to be a psychiatrist. So I went down. I kept getting pulled down to St. Louis. I didn't understand why, but I went to St. Louis for my residency, and my psychiatry residency. I was intern of the year, toot toot. But then at the very end of my intern year, I was diagnosed with brain cancer. So I had to take time off for treatment, and during that time, it was very rough for me. It prepared me for this pandemic, basically, because I would spend weeks not going out and, getting my groceries delivered. So, but during that time, I kept thinking to myself, as I'm laying there in bed and I'm going, God saved me. I know that God saved me, and it never was, Jesus. It was never Jesus in my mind. It was always God, but it took me, a couple of years. I was diagnosed in 2014, and in 2015, I met this Muslim man from Morocco, and we got married in December, and we had a very good first year or so of marriage, and then my program started giving me trouble, so I ended up resigning, and then we separated. My ex-husband and I separated for a while, and that is actually when I started listening to the Quran, because I couldn't find solace in the Bible.
Okay.
And I decided to. I was still in touch with his sister in London, and so I asked her, where should I start? Where should I start? And she said, start with Surah Inshura, or it's 93, I think.
93?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
Go ahead. You're telling the story.
Basically, it says, after hardship, there will be ease. Indeed, after hardship, there will be ease.
Yeah. Inna ma'al usri yusra, inna ma'al usri yusra.
Yeah. So that kind of got me thinking, okay, well, maybe I need to think more about this. And so we talked a little bit over the next few weeks, and I had been listening to the Quran for months, and then my ex-husband, now soon to be ex-husband, was we were talking about divorce then, and I was basically just saying I don't care, whatever, and decided that my sister-in-law, she was still talking to me, and we she asked what my thoughts were, and I said, well, I believe that there's just one God. I don't believe that that Jesus was anything but a prophet. And she's like, well, then you are ready, And so I said my shahada over the phone with her, and she made sure that I knew exactly what I was saying and that I wasn't being coerced, and I had thought about this for a long time.
Wow, that's really cool. Tell us more.
But the thing is that after my brain surgery, so going back to the whole clarinet thing, after my brain surgery, I lost the use of the right side of my body for a while. So if I was still in music, I would have been out of a job. So that's why I got into medicine. I think that Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, he has a hand in everything, obviously. And if it weren't for me meeting my ex-husband, I would have never even known anything about Islam.
So everything works out for good for those who love the Lord. Oh, I'm quoting something from the Bible now.
But when I told it was just last Ramadan that I told my mom, and
right.
she, I converted on January 16th, 2018.
Okay.
So it was a full almost 2.5 years that I practiced in silence, and going back and forth from St. Louis to Iowa. And she cried. She cried.
She was happy or not happy?
No, she cried because she said she had failed me.
Oh.
And it just broke my heart.
Whoops.
And yeah. And so she, I prayed in my closet for a while, but she now lets me use this office. But every time I try to bring it up with her, like Sister Kim said, it's as long as we don't talk about it.
That's sad. I wish there was something we could do about that. But anyway,
it hasn't been a year yet, so.
Tell us about what happens when you visit the Masjid. You go to the mosque.
I haven't ever been to a Masjid. My husband never took me.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that means that you never actually got to do a shahada in front of anybody, did you?
Yeah. No, but I have it recorded on my phone, and.
Well, that's something that we'll work on that. Okay. We'll work on that.
But I get to keep my shahada date because it's in my calendar every year. So.
All right. Okay. Well, that's good. I'm proud of you. I really am. So let's talk about back to Sister Kim. What was your experience when you visited the masjid, or have you? Well, I know you did because we saw you at the masjid when you made shahada. So
right, yeah, it was a crazy night. I had no idea what to do. I went to the masjid and I didn't have on a head covering or anything like that, but luckily I had worn a scarf, so I was able to pull that over my head. And, I got to the masjid and a nice fellow pointed me to the women's section. And I went into the area to make wudu. And I was making wudu when a very nice girl came in and said to me, "Oh, are you trying to make wudu?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "Make sure that you wash up to your knees."
What?
Because, yes.
Whoa! All right.
Yeah, the more that you wash, the brighter the light will be coming from you on the day of judgment.
Oh, boy.
And I had already read enough to know that that wasn't quite true, but I didn't have the confidence to say to her, no, that's a misinterpretation of a hadith. So I was just like, oh, okay.
You hadn't even made shahada yet. Woo!
And and then I finished my wudu, and I went out and I saw flip-flops sitting by the bathroom door. And I said, oh, that must be so that we don't track our wet feet across the carpet. And so I take the flip-flops and I put them on my feet and I go marching right into the prayer area.
Whoa!
And another very nice woman was quick to correct me. But the women there were all very nice.
Okay.
And they knew that I was completely out of my element. And, two of them stood on either side of me while we made prayer and made sure I knew where to put my hands and corrected me if I did something wrong. And then with you, I took my shahada that night. And, the women were all hugging me and making sure I had all their phone numbers. And they were very inviting and wonderful.
All right. Okay. Now, Sister Dr. Emily.
No, that's fine.
We have a picture of you up here now, so you can be more comfortable now. And your face is already covered up, so nobody can really.
Yeah. That's when it was 40 below outside.
Oh, okay. So you don't normally wear the niqab, right?
No.
Okay. Well, we got it. We got that covered up pretty good. You're covered up anyway. Let's see. Okay. Is anybody monitoring the show? You're watching it? Either one of you?
I'm watching it.
Okay, you see the picture of her up there, right?
It's zoomed in too close.
Yeah, well, I'm working on that.
See...
I am working on that. Alhamdulillah for everything. Let's see.
Yeah, with the call-in number up there, we can only see her forehead.
Hey, that's fine with me.
Well, I'm trying to make it work. Here we go. Here we go. I see what the problem is now. Let's see if I can get this up and running properly. This is not as easy as it looks.
While you're working on that, I'll share what happened when I went to the other masjids in Texas.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You did travel with us, didn't you?
Yes, I did. And going to the other masjids was quite an experience because at many of the masjids, the women didn't speak English. And so, I would go in and I would read a book while we were waiting to broadcast. And the women basically ignored me and didn't say anything. And I felt a little bit uncomfortable until I realized that they were talking amongst themselves and it wasn't in English. And so I was like, oh, they're just not approaching me because, I look American. And it was very different going into those masjids where I couldn't communicate with anybody. But even then, the women were really quick to correct me if I did anything wrong in the prayer. And, I was getting ready for one of the prayers, and all of a sudden there's a hand in my face, and it was this little elderly woman who was pushing my hair back up under my hijab that I didn't notice it falling out. I was just like, oh, thank you. And she said something, and I don't even know what she said. But, so, depending on what the dominant culture is around the masjid, If the masjid is for predominantly the people of a certain ethnic background, you might go in and you might feel a little bit, pushed to the sidelines. And I don't think they're trying to hurt you, and they're not trying to be offensive or anything like that. But, American reverts still aren't very common. And I think sometimes they don't know what to say, or literally don't know what to say if they don't speak English. And that can make for a little bit of an uncomfortable situation.
Well, yeah, that is true. And I have seen this situation in many of the masajid over the years, because for the men as well, but not to the extreme that I've heard from the women, that a lot of times the women will just sit there and talk and talk and talk and talk, and they wanted to know, how come these sisters don't pray? And I have to explain that when there is the woman has her time of the month, she shouldn't do the salat. She can pray, but not make salat. And a lot of times they'll ask, well, how come she doesn't have to pray? Okay, then we got to explain all of that. Then, and it's a shame that somebody didn't tell the sisters, the convert sisters, up front, because you're supposed to tell them right the same day about the salat. But anyway, then the next thing that I find out is that sometimes that some of the sisters will come there just to gather to talk with each other. And even though that's their time of the month, they're not supposed to go into the masjid at their time of the month, actually. So then you get a folderol over the whole thing, because the problem comes in, the sisters want to talk with somebody that speaks their language, and that makes sense. And this is the only place they can go and they can talk. So after the salah is over, everybody in the masjid, all of the sisters anyway, they want to talk among themselves. Oh, did you hear about this and hear that? And I'm there to give speeches. And one time they even said, could you turn that thing down? You're too loud. I was like, whoa. I said, well, maybe I should go outside and give the speech out there. But they didn't know. Then they really had more interest in stuff in their language. You'll find that amongst not just the Arabs, but also the Pakistanis, the Somalis, and wherever they're from. The languages, this is something that the people, especially the women, when they get together, they want to speak in their language. And they would observe silence for a speaker who is speaking their language. And that makes sense, But the problem is, I barely speak English, I'm from Texas. Oh, I talk outside of my mouth. Get by that, boy. But so I'm speaking English and yeah.
You should take a break.
Oh, it is time for a break. All right, guys, we're going to take a break, and I'll ask you guys to share this, make dua, and pay attention to this right here. I'm going to put this up so you guys can see it. Here it is.
You're watching The Newsroom, Islam Newsroom. The news you want when you want it, from the Islamic perspective.
Now we have some websites, alhamdulillah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Who is Allah?
Maybe we'll even see somebody enter into Islam.
Excuse me, do you believe in God?
Why do we call him Allah?
One more time, everyone. Okay, good.
These are the ones that we're going to be mailing out. Ilaha. Illa. Allah.
And I bear witness that Muhammad
And that's right, we're right across the river from Palestine, as a matter of fact, here in Aqaba. The new moon, the Hilal, has been sighted for the month of Shawwal.
When the adhan is called, it doesn't matter where you are. You go and you make your salah, alhamdulillah.
Now, I think this is something that inshallah ta'ala we'll all be able to benefit from.
Log in now and make your contribution today to support your favorite project at donate2islam.com.
You're watching.
And we're back with Let's Talk About It, where we're talking with our new TV sister, Dr. Emily, and Sheikh Yusuf Estes. And I'm Sister Kim. I'm sure you all know me by now, at the very least to know my voice. And today we're talking about what it's like to be a new convert to Islam. And Sheikh, I'd be very interested to hear a little bit of your story. I know it's quite involved, but what was it like 25 years ago when you came to Islam?
Well, 30 years ago, but who's counting? All right. Well, first of all, I should tell you that, yes, it is, this year will make 30 years in Islam.
Wow.
But I was nearly 50 years old, so you can do the math on that and figure that one out. But but you know, the good news is, whenever you came to Islam, did either one of you hear about this? When you come to Islam, you get to zero out the age. You get to start over.
Yes, I did hear that.
I heard you're like a newborn child, but I didn't realize that your age goes back.
Well, that's my reference point, okay? Yeah. You're like a newborn child, so I'm going to zero out my age, man. I'm taking that speedometer back to zero.
So I'm like 3 years old, okay.
Yeah, I'm 30. I got a birthday tomorrow, so I'll be 30 tomorrow. Now, what was it like when I went into the Masjid the first time? Okay, ready for this? Are you red-eye? Okay, keep in mind that I'm the one who was trying to convert Muslims to become Christians, all right? And I had this target right in my house, and I had him where I wanted him. He was from Egypt, and I had been spending time with him and sitting and eating with him and taking him around, and he would ride with me, and we were working together for 3 months. And I was learning from him about Islam, and mostly about the belief system, because that's all he ever really liked to talk about. Then I'd see him pray, I'd see him do good things, and a very charitable person, you know. For me, I thought, wow, he's doing charity, and he doesn't even know people are watching. But the funny thing about it was that I had always expected, even though I was adjusting my thinking all the time he was talking, it made sense. Everything he said made sense. It makes sense. It makes sense. But I was adjusting my thinking step by step by step, and still thinking he's going to come to Islam. And it wasn't until that a Catholic priest got involved. No, we weren't Catholic. But my father always worked with everybody for religion. He didn't care. If you had faith in God, he was your best friend. Okay? And so there was a Catholic priest that was in the hospital. And when he needed a place to go from there to convalesce, he had gone to one of these places where, you know, I don't know what you even call it. A place where they go to spend the night and they get out in the morning, got to run out.
Like a rehabilitation center?
No. Just a place for homeless people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so I went there. The first night, and he wasn't in that hospital. I found out where he was. I went over there and picked him up and took him out to our place. And while we were there, I decided, you know what? I'm going to get him to help me get this Muslim guy to come to Islam, to come to Christianity. Yep. And one thing led to another, and the next thing you know, the priest is telling me, well, you know, as a priest, I had to study Islam. I said, what? Why? He said, that's just what we do, you know. I said, whoa, okay. Well, I was surprised because I'd never heard anything like that. Have either one of you heard about something like that?
Actually, I went to a Catholic university and I was required to take theology. And I took both New Testament and Old Testament, but the priest that actually taught both classes admitted that the majority of the Bible has been edited and, translated and, messed with by man, basically. And he talked about Islam too. And so that kind of sparked my interest a little bit, but little by little,
And I heard from a friend of mine who went to Harvard Seminary School, he had to take a course on Islam while he was there. And they also took a course on Eastern religions such as Hinduism and Buddhism and stuff like that. And that was part of their seminary training.
Huh. Well, anyway, to come back to the story, the fact that the priest knew about Islam, I felt now for sure we'll be able to convert him, because the priest's job as a missionary in South America, he worked down there in South America. Being from Brooklyn, you wouldn't think that, but he was very active there in converting people over to Catholicism. Well, that means he was dealing with a lot of the folks that are in the pagan religions and not Christian, or, they're not monotheists. He told us some things that really made me doubt that Christianity was the right way to go. And I'm trying to get him to help me get this guy going. So then at one time he said, I want to go to their church, meaning the mosque, the Masjid. And he goes over there, and when he comes back, we take him aside, my dad and my wife and I, and we're like, hey, what do they do in there? Are they making bombs, or are they slaughtering animals, or what do they do? He said, no. He said they lined up like monks and put their hands like this, like monks do, and then they were silent. He said it was so peaceful. All of this room full of people lined up, peaceful. He said then they all bowed together, and they all stood up together, and they all prostrated together. He said it was so amazing. He said I started crying, and he said I wanted to pray behind them. I didn't know he was up against the back wall. He was watching everything. And when he got there, and surprise, he felt very, very comfortable there, and he said that he really liked it. So I thought, what are we going to do now to get this guy over here? So the priest asked again another time. He said, can I go again? I want to go visit the mosque again. So the Muslim took him over there. Muhammad Abdurrahman is his name. Was his name. He passed away a couple years ago, rahimahullah. Anyway, he took him again, and when they came back this time, it was very late at night, and when they got out of the car, I spotted Muhammad all right over there, and I'm looking, because we lived out in the country, by the way, and I saw this other guy get out, and I said, who is that? Because now he's wearing a long white thobe or robe, and he's got one of these things on his head. I said, is that the priest? What the heck? And I asked him, did you become a Muslim? And he said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu Muhammad Rasulullah. I said, oh my God. Wow. Wow. All right. So I saw a priest the night before I accepted Islam. I saw a priest accepting Islam, and I thought, wow. I wanted to talk about this. So I go up to my wife and I'm going to tell her about this whole thing, and because this is interesting, and I'm thinking, how am I going to present it to her? I need to softly bring this in, you know. And so I said, well, what did you think about that the priest, became a Muslim? She said, I want to get a divorce. I said, whoa, what's that all about? She said, because a Muslim can't be married to a Christian. I said, whoa, 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 whoa. I never said I would never be a Muslim, okay? Take your mind off of that. You can relax, because I would never be. Besides that, a Muslim man could be married to a Christian woman, but trust me, I would never convert. She said, that's exactly what I'm talking about, because I would like to be a Muslim and I can't be married to it. I said, what? Whoa, wait, stop, hold it. All right, back up. I do want to be a Muslim. She said, no, I don't believe you. I said, what do you mean? She said, well, you're either lying right now or you're lying 5 minutes ago when you swore that you would never be a Muslim. Either way, you're a liar. Now get out. I went, huh? What? And I was halfway down the stairs, and when I realized she threw me out of my own father's house. And so I went and knocked on the door. It's very late at night now. It's like midnight or after. And I knocked on the door to the Muslim, Muhammad's room. He came out, and I said, we got to talk. So he put some shoes on. We went out there. We started walking around them country roads, and I was talking. I was going to say we were talking together, but I was doing all the talking. He was doing all the listening. But anyway, after a while, he said, well, you're telling me all about these different people and how they're going to react to whatever you want to do. So you have to, first of all, understand that coming to Islam is not all about what your father thinks, what your mother thinks, what your wife thinks, or, this is not about your congregation. It's not about your business associates. It's only about one. And he's pointing up like this. He said, go talk to him. I went, huh? What? I'd heard so many preachers talk about so many things, but I never, ever thought that I would hear somebody tell me, go talk to him. As though, I'm not the guy. It's not between you and me, or between you and your family, or you and your associates. It's between you and him. Go talk to him. I said, wow. So I walked off behind my dad's house out there in the country, and I looked around. I found a piece of plywood or something and laid it down, and I said, I want to do what he does, kind of facing toward that direction. I don't know how to do all the stand up, bow down, and all that, but I just put my head on the ground. And with my head on the ground, I'm thinking, what am I going to say? What am I going to say? I said, well, you know what? God, guide me. Little did I know that that was exactly what the Quran starts with. Ihdina siratal mustaqim. Guide us to the straight path. And that is exactly why we call this television channel is called Guide Us. Some people say Guide US, and that's okay too. But Guide Us, because that's exactly what I was saying. And Allah guided me immediately. Because when I raised my head up, I didn't see anything different. I didn't feel anything outside, but I could feel the inside. I realized that the problem is not out in the world. The problem is inside of me, and I have to correct that. Once I get that all fixed up, then I can be able to deal with things the right way. And that's exactly the truth. That is the last 30 years, tomorrow, the last 30 years will be 100% just Allah trying to guide me along and me trying to follow. Yep, that was that experience. Yeah.
That is
MashaAllah.
so beautiful.
Have you started that story before, Sister Emily?
I was just before this watching a documentary on how Sheikh Estes came to Islam, so I'm almost through it.
Well, I'm afraid we might have ruined the ending for you.
Oh, that's okay. But I was just thinking, you know, when after that winter that my husband and I had first separated, my ex-husband and I had first separated, I went to my sister's house. She was having a baby. And I remember having my nieces sleep in bed with me, and I'm just sitting there, you know, saying, God, guide me to what is supposed to happen here. I don't know what's going on in my life. I don't know anything, but I know that you're there, and please just guide me to what's the truth. And I mean, this is December 29th is when my last niece was born. And right then, I mean, like, it had been, the separation started back in September 2017, but yeah, I mean, I definitely every night. Then after that, I started just asking and asking, and it took me a while. Took me a while, but I knew what it was.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Well, the next thing that happened to me, I think we should save for another program, but my first experience in the Masjid was one that you could write a book about, because it was not anything that I imagined, nothing that I imagined at all. Wow. Oh, yeah. And then another story, you should ask me how I got the wife that I have now. The other one went ahead. She came to Islam, but she decided to leave anyway. So maybe that was a setup. I don't know. But
well, your wife has already told me the story, so.
Oh, okay.
We've become text friends.
Yep. Well, she, the wife I have now is an amazing lady. I never dreamed that any person could be so amazing, and every day she shows me more. And by the way, I know she's watching right now, so hi, assalamu alaikum. So I think that this is a good video to share with other people, because regardless, I think the stories that we've been sharing back and forth can have a very interesting effect on people, because when they realize that we're just normal people, but we realize that the Bible even says, even today, with the mistranslations, interpretations, and twisting around and up and down, and so many books they threw out, and some they brought back in, and the new books they added. Oh yeah, the history of the Bible is an amazing story if you really want to know the truth about that. But
especially the Council of Nicaea.
That's the turning point. The Council of Nicaea was in August of 325 AD. And what happened there was not that the Caesar or Constantine, his name was Constantine, he was the, like, what do they call that for Rome? The Emperor. Yeah, the Emperor of Rome was Constantine. And he didn't actually become a Christian as much as he brought their Catholic religion over to the group of in Turkey. Yeah. And that is what he did. And that's how they got the idea of the Feast of Ishtar, which we call Easter today. That's how that they changed the day of Jesus' birth. I don't know what it was, but we know it wasn't the 25th of December, because that's what they changed it to. So obviously it wasn't that. But anyway, and the celebrations and the things that they put together. In the case of Christmas, there is a passage in the Old Testament in the book of Jeremiah, I think it's chapter 10, telling the people, the believers, do not go into the forest, do not cut the tree, do not bring it into your house, don't decorate up your house. And you're like, okay, well, if there's any part of that commandment you didn't understand, but you did every single thing it said not to do. Wow. And then if you go back to the Old Testament in the book of Exodus, chapter 20, you'll find what's called the Ten Commandments. Well, it gets real interesting in the Ten Commandments because all of a sudden you're seeing, and I was sitting in the pew in the church looking at my Bible while the pastor was speaking. I was the organist there. And I open up the Bible and I'm looking, and he's talking about something about the Ten Commandments. So I just want to look them up, And I have memorized this since I was a little kid. And I'm looking at it again, and it says, I am the Lord your God that brought you out of the land of Egypt and the house of bondage. You know no other God beside me. And then it says the first commandment, thou shalt have no other God beside me. Like, exactly. Okay, that's pretty clear. And then the second commandment, it says, thou shalt not make unto me any graven image of anything. Then he describes of anything that creeps upon the earth, flies in the air above, or swims in the water beneath. Okay, listen to this. I'm looking up now at the pastor, and I'm seeing, wait a minute, there's right behind him, there's a Jesus on a cross. Somebody that creeps upon the earth. And then I look up at the stained glass window right behind him, and I see that, and what do you think is in there? It's a bird. The dove of peace, it's got the olive branch in its mouth and it's flying. And I said, wow, whoa. And then on the front of the podium that he's standing in front of the lectern, right in front of him, there is a fish. I will make you fishers of men. You know that one? Yeah. And I'm looking at it. I said, they didn't miss a trick. They got them all.
Oh. I never thought of it that way.
Well, I mean, I know
the Ten Commandments, but I never.
Well, I don't expect that anybody would think of that. Sister Kim, have you ever thought about that?
Yes, I have. As a matter of fact, I had a friend who was trying to convert me to Catholicism, and we went through the Ten Commandments in the catechism class. And I was like, well, if you're not supposed to have any graven images, why are you even just having the cross? And they weren't able to answer me.
Well, did they come up with anything on that?
No, they didn't come up with anything on that.
Okay, Sister Emily, you had something to say?
Oh, I was just agreeing. I mean, and I'm sitting there thinking of all the times I've been in church and just looking at this horrible image of Isa alayhi salam. Just awful. I mean, it's grotesque. It's to the point where, I mean, like, I can't even, I cry when I think about it, and they're depicting it, they're worshiping it,
Yep. Well, I got to tell you guys that we've run out of time, and I think maybe tomorrow, next day, maybe we see. Let's see, tomorrow's Saturday. No, Dr. Muhammad Salah will be with us, but Sunday maybe we can tell more stories about what it's like to be a convert. And the story of my first day in the Masjid is, whoa, hey. All right, Sister Kim, if you don't mind, you can do the honors.
All right, well, thank you very much. Make sure that you stay guided with Guideus TV.